Tuesday for the first time here. So some discussions and of course songs. So on the discussion we will see what some great men, Indologists also have said about India, especially the great scholar Max Muller. Then we will also see a little about what was the situation of India when the British came and what was the situation when they left. And of course, Swami Vivekananda's love for India and what are the marvelous things he has said about India and her past and her future, a little of that, everything. So let us start with the great hymn on India, which has been written by the great poet Bankim Chandra. We'll just chant a small portion because otherwise it is too long. So let us see what some great scholars and some researchers, authors have said about India. So we will start from AD 662. Somebody's Sujit or somebody is unmuted. Please mute yourself there. It is disturbing. So this is the Syrian astronomer monk Severus Sebokht. He wrote in AD 662. He says, I shall now speak of the knowledge of the Hindus, of their subtle discoveries in the science of astronomy, discoveries even more ingenious than those of the Greeks and Babylonians, of their astronomy, rational system of mathematics, or of their method of calculation, which no words can praise strongly enough. I mean the system using 9 symbols. If these things were known by the people who think that they alone have mastered the sciences because they speak Greek, they would perhaps be convinced, though a little late in the day, that other folk, not only Greeks but also men of different tongue, know something as well as they. Then Mark Twain has said, India is the cradle of the human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of a legend, and the great-grandmother of tradition. Our most valuable and most instructive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India only. Aurobindo has said, Rishi Aurobindo, India cannot perish, our race cannot become extinct, because among all the divisions of mankind, it is to India that is reserved the highest and the most splendid destiny, the most essential to the future of the human race. It is she who must send forth from herself the future religion of the entire world, the eternal religion which is to harmonize all religions, sciences and philosophies, and make mankind one soul. French scholar Romain Rolland has said, this scholar has also written a book on Sri Ramakrishna and also a life of Swami Vivekananda. So he writes, if there is one place on the face of earth where all the dreams of living men have found a home from the very earliest days when man began the dream of existence, it is India. Albert Einstein has said, we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made. Yeah, so next is what Max Muller says. That's a fairly long one, so before that we'll have a wonderful song. For those who cannot understand Bengali, I have also typed it out in Devanagari, you can see there. So it's fairly simple, very close to Hindi. That O Amar Desher Mati, Mati means Mitti. Tomar Pore Thakai Matae, bow down to you. My head bows down to you. Vishwamai and Vishwamayer Achal. So this you can understand. You have Mishe Chomur Deher Shone means you have become one with my body. Mile Chomur Prane Mone, you have become one with my prana and mind also. And your green hue, Shamal Varan, Murti Morme Katha means it has become one with my heart. That is the meaning. Kole, Kole means in your lap. So in your lap is my birth, and in your lap will be my death. And with you has been all my sukha and dukkha, that is happiness and sorrow. You gave me food to eat. Anna mukhe you gave me, and you gave me in that heat. You gave me, Shokol Shoha means you have borne with everything. You have endured everything. Shokol Voha means you are bearing all your children, and you are the mother of mother. So it's a very famous song, an absolutely wonderful song. Those who know, they can sing together. মাথা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে একাই মাথা। তোমাতে বিশ্বময়ী, তোমাতে বিশ্বমায়ের আঁচল পাতা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে একাই মাথা। তুমি মিশেছ মোর দেহের সনে, তুমি মিলেছ মোর প্রাণে মনে, মিশেছ মোর দেহের সনে, তুমি মিলেছ মোর প্রাণের মনে। তোমার ওই শ্যামল বরণ, তোমার মূর্তি মর্মে গাথা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে একাই মাথা। ও গো মা, তোমার কোলে জনম আমার মরণ, তোমার বুকে ও মা, তোমার কোলে জনম আমার মরণ, তোমার বুকে। তোমার পরে খেলায় আমার দুঃখে সুখে, তুমি অন্য মুখে তুলে দিলে, তুমি শীতল জলে জুড়াইলে, অন্য মুখে তুলে দিলে, তুমি শীতল জলে জুড়াইলে, তুমি যে সকল সহা সকল বহা মাতার মাতা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে একাই মাথা। অনেক তোমার খেয়েছি গো, অনেক নিয়েছি মা, ও মা, অনেক তোমার খেয়েছি গো, অনেক নিয়েছি মা। তবু জানি না যে কি দিব তোমায় দিয়েছি মা। আমার জনম গেল বৃথা কালে, আমি কাটানো দিন ঘরের মাঝে, জনম গেল বৃথা কালে, আমি কাটানো দিন ঘরের মাঝে। তুমি বৃথায় আমায় শক্তি দিলে, শক্তিদাতা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে একাই মাথা। তোমাতে বিশ্বময়ী, তোমাতে বিশ্বমায়ের আঁচল পাতা, ও আমার দেশের মাটি, তোমার পরে Yeah, this is a wonderful song, very famous song. So, the great Max Muller, he championed Sanskrit literature, and so much of the Vedas he has translated. Still, there is such a voluminous translation nobody has done, and of course, no non-Indian has done that fantastic work. He says, if I were to look over the whole world to find out the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should go to India. If I were asked, this is very famous quotation, if I were asked under what sky the human mind has most full developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions to some of them which well deserve the attention even of those who have studied Western philosophy, I should point to India. And if I were to ask myself from what literature we, here in Europe, we who have been nurtured almost exclusively on the thoughts of Greeks and Romans, may draw that corrective which is most wanted in order to make our inner life more perfect, more comprehensive, more universal, in fact, more truly human, a life not for this life only, but a transfigured and eternal life, again, I should point to India. And in that study of the history of the human mind, in that study of ourselves, of our true selves, India occupies a place second to no other country. Whatever sphere of the human mind you may select for your special study, whether it be language or religion or mythology or philosophy, whether it be laws or customs, primitive art or primitive science, everywhere you have to go to India, whether you like it or not, because some of the most valuable and most instructive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India and India only. The Aryans of India were framers of the most wonderful language, Sanskrit, the fellow workers in the construction of our fundamental concepts, the fathers of the most natural of natural religions, the maker of the most transparent of mythologies, the inventors of the most subtle philosophy, and the givers excuse me, and the givers of the most elaborate views. So this was what Max Muller has said. Yeah. And of course, we are all familiar with the great writer Will Durant. So he had made a in-depth study of Indian civilization, which he declared as one of the oldest and the greatest civilizations that mankind had ever known. Actually, he has written a special, you can say an article, or there is one whole chapter in his great work, that the case for India, because at that time Britishers were ruling India. So he strongly supported that India should be made free. So he has declared India to be one of the oldest and the greatest civilization that mankind has ever known. He went to India to see for himself his great country. He visited India. But he was appalled to see almost 1/5 of the human race suffering poverty and oppression because of the Britishers. Most bitter, more bitter than anywhere on earth. He could not believe that the Britishers would cause so much suffering. The British conquest of India was an invasion and destruction of a high civilization by a trading company utterly without scruple or principle. Yeah, so he wrote about India when he said it is the rape of a continent, and he describes in what situation the Britishers had found India, throbbing with life, with all the resources. When the British came, India was politically weak but economically prosperous. It was the wealth of 18th century India which attracted the commercial pirates of England and France. So quoting Sunderland, he says, nearly every kind of manufacture or product known to the civilized world existing anywhere had long been produced in India. India was a far greater industrial and manufacturing nation than any in Europe or than any other in Asia. Her textile goods, the fine products of her looms in cotton, wool, linen and silk, were famous over the civilized world. So were her exquisite jewellery and her precious stones cut in every lovely form. So were her pottery, porcelain, ceramics of every kind, quality, colour and beautiful shape. So were her fine works in metal, iron, steel, silver and gold. She had great architecture, equal in beauty to any in the world. She had great engineering works. She had great merchants, great businessmen, great bankers and financiers. Not only was she the greatest shipbuilding nation. This is news to many of us, because we think that the English, they were. Not only was she the greatest shipbuilding nation, but she had great commerce and trade by land and sea. Such was the India which British found when they came. But they left her absolutely deprived of everything. The Mughals, although they enjoyed the benefits of India, but except few like Nadir Shah and all, they did not take away anything. They settled here, made it an empire, gave us so much wonderful architecture and a great culture. But the Britishers, they left us nothing. Yeah, absolutely. So we won't go into all that, it is too painful to discuss, but I will just, 2 lines I will just quote, which was read out in the House of Commons in England. The fundamental principle of the British has been to make the whole Indian nation subservient. That is their aim, that whole Indian nation should be made subservient. They have been taxed to the utmost limit. The Indians have been denied every honor, dignity or office. So of course then there was the freedom movement, and then the clarion call that we will not sacrifice our freedom for anything. आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं, अपनी आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं। सर कटा सकते हैं लेकिन सर झुका सकते नहीं, अपनी आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं। सदियों में ये आजादी की नेमत पाई है, सैकड़ों कुर्बानियां देकर ये दौलत पाई है, मुस्कुरा कर खाई है सीनों पे अपने गोलियां, कितने वीरानों से गुजरे हैं तो जन्नत पाई है। खाक में हम अपनी इज्जत को मिला सकते नहीं, आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं। क्या चलेगी जुल्म की अहले वफा के सामने, आ नहीं सकता कोई चोला हवा के सामने, लाख फौजें लेके आए अमन का दुश्मन कोई, रुक नहीं सकता हमारी एकता के सामने। हम वो पत्थर है जिसे दुश्मन हिला सकते नहीं, अपनी आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं। आवाज के हम साथ चलते जाएंगे, हर कदम पर जिंदगी का रुख बदलते जाएंगे। हर वतन में भी मिलेगा कोई गद्दारे वतन, अपनी ताकत से हम उसका सर कुचलते जाएंगे। एक धोखा खा चुके हैं और खा सकते नहीं, अपनी आजादी को हम हरगिज मिटा सकते नहीं। हम वतन के नौजवान हैं, हमसे जो टकराएगा वो हमारी ठोकरों से खाक में मिल जाएगा। वक्त के तूफान में बह जाएंगे जुल्मों सितम, आसमां पर ये तिरंगा उम्र भर लहराएगा। जो सबक बापू ने सिखलाया भुला सकते नहीं, सर कटा सकते हैं लेकिन सर झुका सकते नहीं। Thank you, Farid bhai. So Swami Vivekananda, of course, he has said so many things that it requires many discussions. So we will just see some important things about India's speciality, about its greatness, about its future. He has said many things. So just two incidents we will see. First, how the love which he had for India, how it was expressed. Sister Christine once told, Sister Christine was a very close disciple of Swami Vivekananda. Thousand Island Park, when he had gone there, Sister Christine was one of the people. They had her friend, and they had been searching. They had heard that Swami Vivekananda was coming. So they were searching, they were lost, somehow at night in the rain, they were wandering here and there. Then they found that cottage. And when they went, Swami Vivekananda opened the door. And what they said was something fantastic. They said to Swamiji that we have come to you in the same spirit as we would have gone to Christ if he would have been on earth. And Swami Vivekananda was very moved. He said that I wish that I had the power of Christ to set you free immediately. So they spent some wonderful days with Swami Vivekananda there. Her reminiscences are very detailed. Actually, among the reminiscences of Swami Vivekananda, hers is the longest. So Sister Christine once told, our love for India came to birth, I think, when we first heard Swamiji say the word India in that marvelous voice of his. It seemed incredible that so much could have been put into one small word of 5 letters. There was love, passion, pride, longing, adoration, tragedy, chivalry, and again love. What volumes could not have produced such a feelings in others? It had the magical power of creating love in those who heard it. Just when Swami Vivekananda said India, that is all, nothing else. Then when Swami Vivekananda was returning from the West, so he had one thought and one thought only, that is India. He said, wait, India alone can appreciate what I have given in the West, and India will receive me in triumph. He foretold. And such a welcome to anybody has not been given at any time, before or after. So he was saying to his disciples, Captain and Mrs. Savior, I am looking forward to India. So on the eve of his departure, one English friend asked him that, he asked him, Swami, how do you like now your motherland? After 4 years experience of the luxurious, glorious, powerful West. He was comparing in another way, that India is nothing, it's a slave country. After seeing that glorious West, what do you now think of India? So what Swamiji said, we all know. Swamiji's reply was, India I loved before I came away, but now, after seeing the West, now the very dust of India has become holy to me. The very air is now to me holy. It is now the holy land, the place of pilgrimage, the Tirtha. So, So, one another quotation of his, he said, if there is any land on this earth that can lay claim to be the blessed Punya Bhumi, that is, holy land, to be the land to which all souls on this earth must come to account for karma, the land to which every soul that is wending its way Godward must come to attain its last home, the land where humanity has attained its highest towards gentleness, towards generosity, towards purity, towards calmness. Above all, the land of introspection and of spirituality. It is India. Hence have started the founders of religions from the most ancient times, deluging the earth again and again with the pure and perennial waters of spiritual truth. Hence have proceeded the tidal waves of philosophy that have covered the earth, east or west, north or south, and hence again must start the wave which is going to spiritualize the material civilization of the world. Here is the life-giving water with which must be quenched the burning fire of materialism, which is burning the core of of the hearts of millions in other lands. Believe me, my friends, this is going to be. And about the peaceful nature of the Indians, the term the mild Hindu, he says that Hinduism is the religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. So in the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, his speech he had said that we believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth. Then he says, taking country with country, there is not one race on this earth to which the world owes so much as to the patient Hindu, the mild Hindu. The mild Hindu sometimes is used as an expression of reproach, but if ever a reproach concealed a wonderful truth, it is the term the mild Hindu, who has always been the blessed child of God. Civilizations have arisen in other parts of the world. In ancient times and in modern times, great ideas have emanated from strong and great races. Wonderful ideas have been carried forward from one race to another. Seeds of great truth and power have been cast abroad by the advancing tides of national life. But mark you, my friends, it has been always with the blast of war trumpets and the march of embattled cohorts. Each idea had to be soaked in a deluge of blood. Each idea had to wade through the blood of millions of our fellow beings. Each word of power had to be followed by the groans of millions, by the wails of orphans, by the tears of widows. This, in the main, other nations have taught. But India has for thousands of years peacefully existed. Ideas after ideas have marched out from her, but her words have been spoken with a blessing behind it and peace before it. We of all nations of the world have never been a conquering race, and that blessing is on our head, and therefore we live. Then he describes how the other great civilizations, Romans, Greece, all they came and all they went. Not a trace was left of that glory. But India is still there. Why? Because of that love. So we will sing the fantastic song which is there. So this is generally sung in Kanya. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is a fantastic song which you all have heard, I know. जब जीरो किया मेरे भारत ने, मेरे भारत ने दुनिया को तब गिनती आई। तारों की भाषा भारत ने दुनिया को पहले सिखलाई। देता न दशमलव भारत तो यूं चांद पे जाना मुश्किल था। धरती और चांद की दूरी का अंदाजा लगाना मुश्किल था। सभ्यता जहाँ पहले आई, सभ्यता जहाँ पहले आई, पहले जन्मी है जहाँ पे कला। अपना भारत वो भारत है जिसके पीछे संसार चला, संसार चला और आगे बढ़ा। यूं आगे बढ़ा बढ़ता ही रहा। भगवान करे ये और बढ़े, बढ़ता ही रहे और फूले फले, बढ़ता ही रहे और फूले फले। जहाँ की सदा है प्रीत, जहाँ की रीत सदा मैं गीत वहाँ के गाता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। है प्रीत जहाँ की रीत सदा मैं गीत वहाँ के गाता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। काले गोरे का भेद नहीं, हर दिल से हमारा नाता है। कुछ और ना आता हो हमको, हमें प्यार निभाना आता है। जिसे मान चुकी सारी दुनिया हो, जिसे मान चुकी सारी दुनिया, मैं बात वही दोहराता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। किसी ने देश तो क्या हमने तो दिलों को जीता है। क्या राम अभी तक है नर में, नारी में अभी तक सीता है। इतने पावन है लोग जहाँ हो, इतने पावन है लोग जहाँ मैं नित नित शीश झुकाता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। इतनी ममता नदियों को भी जहाँ माता कह के बुलाते हैं। इतना आदर इंसान तो क्या पत्थर भी पूजे जाते हैं। उस धरती पे मैंने जन्म लिया, उस धरती पे मैंने जन्म लिया। ये सोच के मैं इतराता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। है प्रीत जहाँ की रीत सदा, है प्रीत जहाँ की रीत सदा, मैं गीत वहाँ के गाता हूँ। भारत का रहने वाला हूँ, भारत की बात सुनाता हूँ। Thank you to Farid bhai. So, this was what Swamiji said about the tolerance, acceptance, the peaceful attitude of the Indians. Now he tells us of another aspect, that what is the main message of India. Religion, of course, is the main message, but what is the bedrock, what is the foundation of religion? He says, renunciation, that is the flag, the banner of India floating over the world, the one undying thought which India sends again and again as a warning to dying races, as a warning to all tyranny, as a warning to wickedness in the world. I, Hindus, let not your hold of that banner go. Hold it aloft. Even if you are weak and cannot renounce, do not lower the ideal. Do not try to be hypocrites, torturing texts and making specious arguments and trying to throw dust in the eyes of people who are ignorant. Do not do that, but own that you are weak. For the idea is great, that of renunciation. What matters it if millions fail in the attempt, if 10 soldiers or even 2 return victorious? Blessed be the millions dead. Their blood has brought the victory. This renunciation was the one ideal throughout the different Vedic sects. We want orthodoxy, even the hideously orthodox, even those who smother themselves with ashes, even those who stand with their hands uplifted. We want them, unnatural though they be, for standing for that idea of giving up and acting as a warning to the race against succumbing to the luxuries that are creeping into India. Renunciation conquered India in days of yore. It has still to conquer India. Still it stands as the greatest and highest of Indian ideals, this renunciation. The land of Buddha, the land of Ramanuja, the land of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the land of renunciation, the land from where, in the days of yore, Karma Kanda was preached against. And even today, there are hundreds who have given up everything and become the living free or the Jivan Muktas. Will that land give up its ideals? Certainly not. There may be people whose brains have become turned by the Western luxurious ideals. There may be thousands and hundreds of thousands who have drunk deep of enjoyment this curse of the West, the senses, the curse of the world. Yet for all that, there will be other thousands in this motherland of mine to whom religion will ever be a reality and who will be ever ready to give up without counting the cost, if need be. So this wonderful song, it is there in your sheet. This tells us about the wonderful ideal of this renunciation. This will be Trital. Just first see the speed. I'm lower the scale because I'm changing the all of you know this, you can sing together. Just see the speed.
आओ बच्चों तुम्हें दिखाएं झांकी हिंदुस्तान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो ये धरती है बलिदान की। आओ बच्चों तुम्हें दिखाएं झांकी हिंदुस्तान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। पर्वतराज विराट है, दक्षिण में चरणों को धोता सागर का सम्राट है। जमुना जी के तट को देखो गंगा का ये घाट है, पाट पाट में हाथ हाथ में यहाँ निराला घाट है। देखो ये तस्वीरें अपने गौरव की अभिमान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। ये है अपना राजपुताना, नाज इसे तलवारों पे, इसने सारा जीवन काटा बच्ची तीर कटारों पे। ये प्रताप का वतन पला है आजादी के नारों पे, फूट पड़ी थी यहाँ हजारों पद्मिनियां अंगारों पे। बोल रही है कण कण से कुर्बानी राजस्थान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। यहाँ शिवाजी डोला था, मुगलों की ताकत को जिसने तलवारों पे तोला था। हर पर्वत पर आग जली थी, हर पत्थर एक शोला था। बोली हर हर महादेव की बच्चा बच्चा बोला था। शेर शिवाजी ने रखी थी लाज हमारी शान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो, ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। ये देखो बंगाल यहाँ का हर चंबा हरियाला है, यहाँ का बच्चा बच्चा अपने देश में मरने वाला है। पाला है इसको बिजली ने भूचालों में पाला है, मुट्ठी में तूफान बता है और प्राण में ज्वाला है। जन्मभूमि है यही हमारे वीर सुभाष महान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो, ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। आओ बच्चों तुम्हें दिखाएं झांकी हिंदुस्तान की, इस मिट्टी से तिलक करो, ये धरती है बलिदान की। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। Thank you for inviting.
पहली बार है स्वामी जी, पहली बार मैं आपके साथ हो जाता हूँ।
So now just a few words what Swamiji has said about the future of India. What should be it like? He says, let then new India arise, let her arise out of the peasant's cottage, grasping the plough, out of the huts of the fisherman, the cobbler and the sweeper. Let her spring from the grocer's shop, from beside the oven of the fruit seller. Let her emanate from the factory, from marts and from markets. Let her emerge from groves and forests, from hills and mountains. These common people have suffered oppression for thousands of years, suffered it without a murmur, and as a result have got wonderful fortitude. They have suffered eternal misery, which has given them unflinching vitality. Living on a handful of grain, they can convulse the world. Give them only half a piece of bread, and the whole world will not be big enough to contain their energy. They are endowed with the inexhaustible vitality of a Rakta Bija. Rakta Bija was a demon in Durga Saptashati. So every drop of his blood which fell on the ground produced another demon like him. They have got that vitality. And besides, they have got the wonderful strength that comes of a pure and moral life, which is not to be found anywhere else in the world. Such peacefulness, such contentment, such love, such power of silent and incessant work, and such manifestation of lion strength in times of action. Where else will you find these? Skeletons of the past, there before you are your successors, the India that is to be. Throw those treasure chests of yours and those jeweled rings among them as soon as you can, and you vanish into the air and be seen no more. Only keep your ears open. So this is telling to those who are selfish people, who are fond of luxuries. No sooner will you disappear than you will hear the inaugural shout of Renaissance India, ringing with the voice of 1,000,000 thunders and reverberating throughout the universe. Vahe Guru ki Fateh, victory to the Guru. So with these, we will end today. Now, we will sing our national anthem recorded, which has been sung by, written by Ravindranath. Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya